Alright, this is video 5. I ran out of time on my last video 4 there. I was talking about the first revolution. I was talking about George Washington and his band of rebels. Okay, the army that he raised. The army that he raised they started out. The army that George Washington raised, they started out trying to fight. They started out trying to fight the British forces with regular means. Okay, and the British far out. They far outclassed and outnumbered the colonists. But the reason why the colonists won is because they used guerrilla warfare tactics. Okay, so you had George Washington and you had a handful of guys. This is where that force multiplication comes in. You had George Washington and a handful of guys that were British military guys. Yeah, they're in the New World now. They're no longer British. They want to be their own country. They want to be their own this and that. So now all of these things happen with King George, and they weren't having it. So now, they're in full-on rebellion. The war has started. The British have sent troops. George Washington is recruiting farm boys, okay, and they're getting whooped. They're getting whooped. All right. So you can't do line fighting, okay, because people are just going to die. The guys in the colonies, they didn't have enough men to do that kind of fighting. They couldn't just stand there and shoot, and then the next guy comes up and shoots, and eventually, whoever has the most bodies gone loses, right? I mean, they just decided, look, we got to do it the way the French and Indians do warfare. You got to be sneaky. You got to hide in some bushes. You got to ambush people. You got to wait for that, that armored column to come through, right? And open up on them. Like in Red Dawn, right? We're going to go shoot up an armored column, I mean, by that time they had light machine guns and other things. And but anyway, guerrilla warfare, right? So guerrilla warfare is unconventional warfare. It's where you have small groups of an irregular military force, which would be your MinuteMan, your home guard, right? Okay. Armed civilians, right? Who have been trained up, right? So if you're not former military, and the former military train you up, you're ready to go. Okay. And of course you get on the job training when it all starts flying, right? When the stuff starts hitting the fan, you'll be getting quick on the job training. Okay. Irregular forces use things such as ambushes, sabotage, raids, okay, to fight against regular military forces. This is what we're talking about. Okay, this is what we were talking about when it comes to MinuteMan. MinuteMan wanted to live his life normally, but he can't because, King George and his modern King George and all of the King Georges in the world decided they wanted to enslave everybody, right? And Joe Jim Bob and his friends and Mary Jane and her friends, they ain't having it. Right? So, this is what's going on. this is really what's happening in the world. This is not a conspiracy. This stuff is actually happening, and you need to start. If you haven't started working towards being prepared to deal with this yet, please start today. Okay? Please start today, because you don't have much longer before it's going to get to the bloodshed. Okay? Right now we are in this cyber warfare aspect. Okay? We're in that right now. You need to stop using digital. Stop using Apple Pay. Stop using PayPal. Stop using even credit cards as much as you can. I have credit cards, right? But I don't use them. I'm done with that, right? So, well, I've had credit cards. I don't have credit cards now. But I had credit cards and I'm done with that. I got rid of all that stuff. I don't have Apple Pay. I don't have Venmo is a new one, I think. Okay, I heard somebody mention that the other day. And then, of course, they've got PayPal. You guys have got to get rid of all of that stuff. It all has to go. You have to fight against this system. Because if you do not, it's going to eat us alive. It's going to eat us alive. And then you're going to say, well, you say it's going to happen anyway, because the Bible says so. You know, the Bible says it's going to happen anyway, so what are we fighting for? Well, ultimately, we are fighting because we are resisting all of this because it's the right thing to do. Okay, it's the right thing to do. And why? Because it's evil. The reason to resist is because all of this stuff is evil. Okay? That's really what... Okay, it's going to happen anyway. I know that. I acknowledge that. If you say it's going to happen anyway, why fight it, right? Well, that's kind of like if somebody says to a woman, well, you're going to get raped anyway, you might as well just lay there. Why fight it, right? I mean, that's a terrible thing. Right? Terrible thing, terrible way to put it. But, you know, I mean, I'll tell you what, if I were a woman and something was going on like that, I'd be doing everything, I'd be finding something to kill that person that was trying to rape me. Okay? That's what I would be doing if I was that woman. Now, the thing is that why are we going to be fighting against this digital currency? Because it enslaves people, right? It enslaves people. This credit system stuff, it enslaves people. It enslaves people. A couple of videos back, I talked about that situation with the ice cream and other things. Just a little example. You do not want to be enslaved. Nobody wants to be a slave. Digital currency is enslavement. Please get it through your head. And tell everyone. Talk about it with your families. Talk about it with your friends. Talk about it with people you meet on the street. They're trying to get the currency out of circulation right now. They're trying to get all of the funny money, all of the paper bills out of currency. You could go to places like Madison Square Gardens in New York City, and it'll say, yeah, if you want to, you could just turn in your currency for credits. Don't do it, because what they're doing is they're gathering this up. They're gathering it all up. And so that you don't have enough in circulation to go against the man. Do you understand? There won't be enough of this to do our own transactions outside of their system if you continually give it up. So right now, I would say that gather as much of this cash as you can, and if you can, turn it into gold and silver, real gold and silver. If you not zinc coins, not this fake coins that they got, but turn it into gold and silver if you can. Small bits and pieces, not, you know, like $2,000 coins or anything. But you gotta fight against it. It's your duty. It's your duty. It's your obligation. It is how can I say this? You're not much of a person if you just let them do it. You're not much of a person if you just let them do it. Okay? I have no respect for anybody that just rolls over. Now, we were talking about irregulars and regulars. I think maybe I talked about it in another video here before, but I talked about Sun Tzu's Art of War and General Giap in Vietnam. That's the reason why they did so good. It's because they used guerrilla warfare. They used guerrilla warfare in the day of the First Revolutionary War. They used French and Indian tactics and so on. Right? They had the assistance of the French as well. And they got it done. I mean, it was obviously it was a tough thing, but they got it done. I can't think of much else right now. You know, but we're just looking at a basic foundation for why we need people to be prepared as Minutemen and Minutewomen. Okay, you need to be socking stuff away. You know the stuff that you need to sock away. I don't need to tell you. You need to be having maps of your area. You need to be networking with like-minded people. You need to be forming strategical analysis of your terrain. Okay, that means that you need to be looking at where the enemy can be bottlenecked and you can take them out if necessary, and things like that, where you can ambush the enemy. The enemy may be the UN sending clowns in to try to oppress the people. Well, the average citizen isn't going to put up with that. So the average person in this country, the home guard, isn't going to put up with that. This country, the United States, has always been a bastion of freedom, and it has continually been, freedoms have been taken away continually, and more and more and more and more. People outside the United States do not realize how constricted the people are here compared to what they used to be a long time ago. And that has got to change. It's got to change. It's got to be dealt with. And it's being forced. The people are being forced into dealing with tyranny, oppression. They're being forced into it. Nobody on this side of the fence asked for oppression and tyranny. Nobody. Nobody asked for it. Everybody on this side of the fence over here, okay, that's in the home guard, everybody here, every regular person would rather that everything was like Leave It to Beaver, the old TV series. Everybody wishes for that life. Leave it to Beaver. But they're not allowed that anymore because of this conspiracy to enslave them is forcing the regular people to react. For every action by the government, there's going to be a reaction by the people. And it's going to get really... it's going to get gnarly. I got to choose my words a little bit here and there on YouTube because You know, I don't want these videos removed because of some clown decides they need to be removed. You gotta be careful about what you say anymore, even though there's a First Amendment. We shouldn't have to be. That's the reason why we got the home guard situation. Talk to you later.